Okay, so a bunch of matchups have been announced recently that I'm going to go over. We're going to start with Petr Yan versus fucking Marcus McGhee, which is the weirdest fight you can make for Petr Yan right now, in my opinion. It's a six-style matchup that's going to be exciting no matter how you look at it, but number 2 versus number 13 in any division is horrible, and especially Petr Yan, who's beaten so many contenders in his division and been pretty much dominant besides a couple weird decisions and a couple slip ups, and he lost to Aljamain. So it's a weird thing going from Figgy beating Figgy to Marcus McGhee down the rankings that far. It doesn't make any sense, and it is pretty disrespectful. So we'll get into that. We'll get into a potential matchup between Edwards and Morales, which we'll get into. We'll get into a matchup between Tim Elliott and Kai Asakura, and then Michael Johnson versus Daniel Huber. So we'll start with Petr Yan versus McGhee. So this is disrespectful as fuck for Petr Yan. He's coming off a win against Davison Figueiredo, a very dominant win where he beat the shit out of Davison, which has been done a couple times now, but it's still impressive. Davison is still a former champ, and Petr Yan has only really lost to the best guys. So McGhee, coming from number 13, up the rankings to fight Yan, I don't have a ton of faith in him. This will be is a very exciting striking matchup. Petr Yan and McGhee both have very slick striking that they tend to put on very exciting displays in every single fight that they're in. McGhee, on his rise up, has proved to be very fun and very technical on the feet. I could very much see Petr Yan resorting to some grappling. Not resorting as in he's being beaten on the feet, but I could see him going for some grappling. And in that case, I see him getting takedowns against McGhee. And I see him winning in the grappling department. And I see it being close on the feet. But Petr Yan has shown time and time again that he makes fighters that seem good look like shit with him on the feet. So, as for a prediction, I'm going to go with Petr Yan as of right now. You can't really root against Petr Yan. McGee's too untested against actually good comp. All we know is that McGhee is super slick on the feet. He has very nice kicks. Low kicks, I mean. And he has a decent grappling game. And he looks 75 years old. Petr Yan, we know a lot more about his game and what he's able to do against high caliber competition. So I think Petr Yan's probably going to win. McGhee could pull off an upset of the year and beat Petr Yan and be at number 2 in the division. It doesn't make sense shooting McGhee up the rankings because Petr Yan is a huge name. Wouldn't you want him to be up the rankings fighting other stars? McGhee isn't a star by any means. He's fun, but he's not a star. Why are they giving McGhee this shot? It doesn't make any sense, really, unless it's like a weird, desperate attempt to get a main event for Abu Dhabi with a Russian on it. I'm sure Umar Nurmagomedov can't fight for some reason, I guess, because I would have done Yan versus Umar. That's the fight I would have made. That's the sickest fight ever at bantamweight. That's one of them. This fight just feels out of place and odd and isn't it's like it doesn't seem to have a purpose. Are we trying to big up McGhee? Like, I understood doing this with O'Malley because he's a huge star, but McGhee, he's not a star. I don't understand why they're giving him this opportunity to begin with, and I do think it'll backfire anyway, unless they're trying to put Yan on some sort of pedestal, which in that case, McGhee isn't the guy to put Yan on a pedestal if he beats him anyway. So it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's what they decided to do for Abu Dhabi's, I think, main event. Maybe not. If it's not the main event, Abu Dhabi's going to be sick as fuck. But this doesn't make any sense. And it's sad for Petr Yan, but he'll probably get another win, which is good. He's got some unlucky bullshit happen in his career. And I do like Petr Yan a lot. So I'm glad he's getting his wins that he deserves. And hopefully he beats McGhee and then still continues to rise up the rankings and get another title shot against a winner of Merab O'Malley. I want him to fight Umar. I think that's the biggest fight you can make. One of the biggest fights you can make at bantamweight is those two. That's very interesting. And we can see who the best Russian is. So yeah, next. We have a potential matchup between Michael Morales and Leon Edwards, this isn't confirmed by any means, but it's in the works, I guess. And I'd take this source with a grain of salt as of right now, but it's still a matchup I can talk about. It's still an interesting matchup that could happen, and timing-wise does work out well. Michael Morales versus Leon Edwards. I am leaning Morales big time in this matchup if it were to go through. I think Morales is dangerous. He has finishing potential. He's shown that in many of his fights. He doesn't have, like, an incredible amount like some of these other welterweights do, but he does have a ton. And he's very athletic. He's rangy. He's tall. He goes for the finish, too. He's aggressive. I don't rate Leon Edwards highly at all, and I haven't since ever, really. I think Leon Edwards is not very good. I think he doesn't have the right mentality at this point in his career, especially to win another fight in the UFC. I don't think Leon Edwards is going to win another fight in the UFC. I think he's going to lose 2 more and then be done. That's my prediction for Leon Edwards' career. I predicted Sean Brady to destroy him. I don't think Leon Edwards has the grit as of right now in his career to be a UFC high caliber level fighter. That's just my opinion. I think Michael Morales is only on the up. He has a ton of momentum. He's coming off a knockout win against Gilbert. It looked a little weird. It looked a little sloppy. It looked a little bit more like Gilbert quit, but he still did it, and in a lot quicker fashion than, say, a Jack Della Maddalena did, which got him a title shot. Sean Brady couldn't finish him. So, it is still very impressive, I would say. And Morales, he's just an up-and-coming guy who's younger. It's going to be faster. He's going to have more fire in him. And Leon Edwards, I think, is completely burnt out. That's just my thought process. The Bilal performance was bad. It didn't look like he breaks so easily, and it's why I picked Bilal to beat him. It's why I picked Sean Brady to beat him. It's why I'm going to pick him to lose every single time until he wins again. He got lucky the first Kamaru Usman fight. The second one, he did very well. But Usman's... with these unks at welterweight, there's a lot of weird wiggle room and leeway to say that some of them are completely shit, or they're out of, like, Kamaru Usman's knees are fucked. I never thought Bilal Muhammad was that good. Colby Covington's arguably shit. But they're all arguably good, too. It's hard to say at welterweight. And I like these new... All I'll say is I like the new guys at welterweight. I think all the old unks like Leon Edwards, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, we already know that's the case. Bilal Muhammad, Kamaru Usman are not going to be able to hang with these new guys like Ian Gary. Even Sean Brady at this point, Joaquin Buckley, Shafkat, Jack. That's the new future. And Michael. That's the future of welterweight. And I think these guys are going to get snuffed out pretty quickly. At least that's my opinion. But still a cool matchup and exciting. And I hope it does go through because it's interesting. I'm picking Morales to win by knockout. Next, Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. So this makes sense. It doesn't really make sense. You give Kai Asakura a title shot in his first fight, and then you give him Tim Elliott at number 11 down the rankings. I would have done something with a little bit more hype for Asakura. I would have given Asakura the Manel Cap fight, to be honest. I would have gotten, I guess, the scheduling didn't work out, I guess, or something, because Kai Asakura's been out for a while with relatively no damage, so it doesn't really make sense why he's been out for so long. And Manel Cap has gotten a couple wins that amount of time, and now he's looking for a belt. So it makes sense not to do Manel Cap versus Kai Asakura 3, because there's history between those two fighters outside of the UFC, and that would make it interesting. Tim Elliott is a good gateway to actually building Kai Asakura and not just throwing him to the wolves instantly. It makes sense to give him Tim Elliott. I do think Kai Asakura is going to win. I do think he's way more dangerous. Tim Elliott's getting old. I see Kai Asakura winning. But with that being said, Tim Elliott is crafty. He's been in the game for a long time. He's tricky. He's tricky to beat. But I think Kai Asakura will be able to beat him. I think he'll chin him. I think the flying knee Kai Asakura hit against Pantoja would have knocked out anyone else. But Pantoja is literally unchinnable. So, I will go Kai Asakura in this matchup. I don't love the hype going from title shot to number 11 for Kaya Sakura. I would have given him someone more interesting. I would have given him a Brandon Moreno even. I would have kept him in the top 5 at least. I would have kept him there. Had him win one more. Maybe a Tatsuro Taira, do a Japan versus Japan. I think they're both Japanese. I think. Do Japan versus Japan, then there's no loser for Japanese, for bigging up Japanese fighters and getting that market engaged. That's what I would have did, but we have Tim Elliott now, so that's okay, I guess. But I'll go Kaya Sakura to win. I think you'll win. I think Kaya Sakura still has a future in the flyweight division. I just think Pantoja is pretty much unbeatable at this point in his career, unless he's going to move up a weight class or something. I don't see any flyweights, besides maybe a Manel Cap, but that's a really slim maybe. Pantoja is fucking solid, and I see Kaya Sakura beating Tim Elliott. So, next, finally, we have Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. Sadly, I do think Daniel Zellhuber is going to win this. I think the range, his power, his precision on the feet is too much for old Michael Johnson, who is coming off of a really devastating knockout, which was sick as fuck to see. Michael Johnson's the weirdest lightweight ever. He knocks out some of the best fighters on earth, like Poirier, and then gets knocked out by like no one, like no names. He's very hit or miss, Michael Johnson. He will have the best performance ever in one fight, and then the next he will completely shit the bed. And he had his super fun performance last time. I don't see him getting 2 in a row against someone in Daniel Zellhuber, which is very tall, very young, has a great chin, and he showed that in his last fight, Zellhuber did against Rubovic, where he took a lot of damage and still pressed forward. Michael Johnson has a ton of power, we know that, but Zellhuber has a very good chin. He's very young. He's very tall. He has a ton of range. He is very slick striking. Michael Johnson doesn't have a grappling game. It doesn't look good for Michael Johnson and his terrible chin at this point. Zellhuber's going to finish Michael Johnson. Sadly, if Johnson knocks out Zellhuber somehow, it would be the funniest thing ever. But I really doubt it's going to happen. But it's still a fun matchup. It's not what I would have done for Michael Johnson, though. I would have done some more like another Unk for Michael Johnson. I would have done a Bobby Green or some shit. Something fun where we could see maybe either one of them could shit him. Because as of right now, Zellhuber is probably going to be a huge favorite, and everybody's probably going to think Zellhuber's going to win. Whereas I could see Johnson chinning Bobby Green and getting shot up the rankings. I could see that being a reality. So, it's not what I would have done. The UFC matchmaking is weird and bad right now. It doesn't make any sense a lot of the time. I don't know really what they're doing. The main event this weekend sucks. I'm going to predict them tomorrow, but it sucks, so I don't want to. And yeah, I think that's about it. The UFC is weird. I don't love what they're doing right now, but I am hooked, and I'm going to continue watching. Of course I am. So, I think that's it. I will see you soon.